truly welcome everyone to this Fireside Chat. We're in a time where real estate is no longer about transactions. I'm sure we've heard that in the last few days. It's about ownership, structure, wealth creation, and legacy. Across Nigeria, we are actually seeing more women step into the industry. And as realtors, as investors, and increasingly as developers, the value chain is really being filled up with lots of women. And real estate right now, as we can see, it's no longer transactional. It's about ownership, it's about structure, it's about wealth creation and legacy above all. And across Nigeria, we are seeing that more women are actually stepping into the industry in all ramifications and everything. But I ask myself every day, the real question is that, are we building income or are we building wealth? Are we as women participating in deals or are we structuring them? Are we selling assets or are we owning them? So today's conversation is not just about the success stories. It's about strategy, about success and intentional wealth building. And most importantly, this panel here, hopefully we can hear from them how women can move from vision to real tangible value. So our panelists today, and I welcome you all, please give them a round of applause. Thank you for coming. They are decision makers. I was researching many of them, and I'm like, wow, when I grow up, I want to be like you. They are decision makers, they are builders, and they are wealth creators. So please, as you are here today, I want you to listen differently. And not just for the inspiration that you'll be getting, but for the patterns. I want you to listen to the decisions they made, the risks they took, and the structures that they used to build wealth. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and I welcome every one of you. Thank you so much. So I'll go straight to my first question, which I would probably just want everyone to answer. So what belief about women and wealth did you have to unlearn in order to succeed? And what mindset shift changed everything for you? So I'll start with you at the last. Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Amazing question. I would address this question from my own personal experience.
Yes.
I'm sure, for starters, when we saw the name Ifeanyi and Chris Ward, you were expecting to see a man. I'm very woman, 100% woman. Did not transition, made like this by God. And one of the stereotypes I've had to face was, first of all, my name. Very special name, crafted uniquely for me. It means there is nothing impossible for God to do. So as an individual, I had to, and as a woman, I just had to brace up and build myself up to the point that I believe that there is nothing that I cannot do. I do not believe that there is a career for men and a career for women. I went further into studying quantity surveying in University of Lagos. And of course, we had a lot more men or male students than female students. So for starters, we had the group of girls and then a lot more men. So it was that question of, are we really going to practice, or are we just doing this as per first degree? When we finish, we give the certificate over to our parents and say, here you go. And what does life have for us? So first bias I had to break myself away from was the fact that I cannot be restricted by the seemingly popular notion that is a man's world. It's everybody's world. We make our world. We know that in some cases we are affected by some futures, like, I don't want to make it uncomfortable for the men, but we as women are faced with hormones and other things that affect us on a regular basis. But beyond all of that, we can do anything we set our minds to achieve, and there is nothing impossible for us to achieve. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Ajia, what do you think about the same question?
Thank you very much. For me, I think I'll talk about the obvious myth where we think women are risk averse. And that really affected me because growing up, you come up with that sentimentality. You've heard it so many times. And imagine being in a managerial position and decisions you want to take are being questioned sometimes because of the very fact that you're a woman. But I had to tell myself we're not risk averse. And I'm happy the first speaker actually mentioned something like that. We're risk aware. So, and that leads to my mindset change for me. Because when I changed my mindset on that look, we're not risk averse, we're risk aware because we plan. You have your plan A, plan B, plan C. Yeah. And if they all don't work out, because you have planned, you don't panic. You know you've given it your all. And if really that's being risk averse and it's a good thing, then, or a bad thing rather, then please let's be risk averse. Be risk aware. And there are studies that have shown it's very okay to have this kind of mindset. Warwick Business School, I think, did a study and they showed that women businesses are doing much better because of this idea, right? So what are we doing? By about 0.4% to 1.8% annually, right? So I think for me, it's courage. You've got to, define the myth. And the first speaker also mentioned our hormones and so on. And I've always said, if as women, we go through menstrual periods monthly, we go through birth, we then go through menopause, and it goes on and on and on, and we still stand. That is courage. And so I think that is the mindset that has helped us to realize that, there's nothing wrong with being risk averse. You should do what you should do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I remember when we got into real estate, just before I come to you, and when the men see us on site inspection, they would deliberately take us far into the bush and see where we would turn back. And the farther they went, I remember my partner and I, we followed them. And they will be looking back and saying, are you there? And I say, if you are there, I am there. So the men compartmentalized us, especially when you're into development and you're into all that. And they kind of compartmentalized us women that you're all heels and wheels. You're not really that strong. And they keep pushing the boundaries and seeing whether you will take it. And believe you me, once they see that you are as risk aware, like you said, they'll actually to move from that perspective to a perspective of respect. So thank you very much, Ajia, for that. Please, if you were to answer the same question.
I think, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think they've said it all, but I will just build upon what she has said, right? One belief personally I would unlearn is the idea that women need to play it safe, and which is just like almost the same thing she has said. Like I remember when I wanted to go into commercial real estate, then, all the colleagues, they are much older, and they'll be like, they even have been in Abuja for 20 years. I did not do anything like, your mother, what is always wrong with you? You don't do like this. You don't, okay, who in this Abuja? The big guys that have done something like this. I said, but I know and will touch me, and have touched me. I'm not saying hand have not touched. If you're in construction, when she said something like the hormones, there's a way hand will touch you in construction that the hormones we understand. I kid you not. The hormones we understand. You wake up in the middle of the night and ask yourself again, should I have not done this? But, okay, look at the time they were telling me this and today. The project is not yet done, but look at what we have done. Look at it. It's not like maybe when she was talking about the banking thing, I wish I was there because I was going to counter a lot. Now, it's okay when we are trying to protect the clients. What about the developers? Okay, we are trying to do something we've not done before in Abuja. The kind of design is different. It requires money. And Nigerian clients, they really don't understand these. So there should be some type of event that should happen to educate clients themselves, truly. Because developers should also be protected. Why I understand where she's coming from. Yeah. We should be protected because it's not easy in a kind of economy that anything can happen the next day before you wake up. and you are back to zero, and the client does not understand where you're coming from. So just to build up on what she has said, is still the risk. I am a number one risk taker like this. There's nothing I don't feel that I can do. Whether you are because if you shrink yourself in rooms where you're not supposed to be shrinked, it's from the agents that will look down on you.
Yes.
When I started, I have this car. It's an Hyundai. Then there's this land I wanted in Gusape. Then the agent told me, it's the kind of car you brought now. So you expected me to carry the amount I want to give you guys for premium to go and use it to buy a car. The mentality itself is bad. And that let's say, in 100% for landowners, we have about 85% that are male. When I was looking for land, everywhere I went to in Abuja, the first said, is it you? Where is your MD? I said, it's me. It is me. And that pushed me to Lagos because I was not able to get a land. But after then, we've gotten more. But don't let that stop you because they are going to say no. No way. We are not doing that here. So it's still the risk. So that's what I have learned to unlearn. Is what you said I cannot do that I want to do because I can do it.
Please give
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And when she said, hand will touch you, I paused and I looked back. I remember when we got into the development stage, the men have a way of coming together and covering up their own nakedness. Please, if that resonates with you, let me see your hands. But we women don't have that kind of opportunity of the network. So the risks that the men are taking as boldly as they can is because they have a network that shields and protects. They come together, whether they are at fault or whether or not. But we men, we found ourselves alone without enough mentorship. And I remember when we come back and say, for example, one of our first developments, we woke up one morning and the entire fence had collapsed after months of a lot of work. And we called one of our mentors and he said, welcome to real estate. And he smiled, now you are one of us. And we didn't know it was, and when we go back to them and we say we are facing this challenge, they will now say, Shebi, you are now there, figure it out. So a lot of things that you said is actually true. I believe that when you get to a point in wealth building, the spirit of boldness, power, and might has to come upon you one way or the other. So that brings me to this next question, and I thank you so much for that insight. You mentioned, let's talk about construction. So if I would ask this question, what will the housing and construction industry in Africa look like if women control half the capital? And what must change today to make that future possible? So I'm going to start with you.
Okay. Thank you, Ma. So I would say there would be intentionality. Women, when we first moved to our first office, when people come, they'll be like, oh, did you get someone to do this? Normally, women are home builders.
Yeah.
There's always a touch of how we do something.
Yes.
And so there's always going to be intentionality. When we are doing this particular project I'm on, and I have some male partners that will come, they'll say, let's do it like this. Then I would think about it aesthetically. I say, no, it's not going to work like that. So there's going to be intentionality around livability. It's going to be safer. Infrastructure is going to be there. Better infrastructure and development, right? That can reflect where we live, where we work, and how we raise, our families, right? So the only difference between a male and a female in intention is how we look at the future. We're already thinking about how this thing is going to look. What if let's say you're talking about a piece of furniture now, and you're saying, let's get white, and you're saying, no, because of the children. It's just something like that. So we think far, we look ahead, to anything at all that we want to do, even to the slightest thing. Should we use foam board? Oh, we'll not be able to do this, we'll not be able to do that. So intentionality comes in when women are involved. Anything will not be done haphazardly. Let me just put it that way. Things will be done smoothly, beautifully, and better.
Thank you very much. How many people have actually been into a house that was started and finished by a man? You would know that a man finished. This developer is a man, and he didn't have any woman, any female interference. Have you seen any of those homes? I've seen a lot. When you go to a kitchen of a development that was constructed by a man, you will know, because that kitchen will be small. In fact, that is not their own. They do. It's not that. And when you see, sometimes they won't even make provisions for playground. Their own is eyes on the money, eyes on the entire thing. So they want to build as many structures, shrink the cost as possible. So imagine now, you will discover that most men will say, let my wife come and see. Can you imagine where the relevance of the woman is? First, before I can buy. If you're a realtor, you probably notice that most men will not close deals unless their women come. And the first place the woman will go is where? The kitchen. So when women are built in, like you rightly said, we actually come in. And this is a place where we can all come in on advisories as well. So we're looking at a lot of things. You could be part of the advisory board of many of these real estate companies and even policymakers, such that the intentionality, like you said, is there. Ajia, what do you think about that?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'll say it's just uhuru to have more capital, at least 50%. Because as women, like she mentioned also, one of the things that I think we will target is the ability for most women to be able to afford a home or a landed property. And we all know the statistics, it's been talked about here. Women just don't own property. You go to a bank and you're trying to access a loan, they will ask you for a collateral. What are you going to bring? So it's catch-22 here. You want a house, you need a collateral. You need a collateral to get a house. You see how, so I think if women are in position like that, we will look to how it is easy for us to key into mortgages without collateral. And I'm happy Madam is sitting beside me. So, because look, there are women that have been in Ajo for decades, right?
Yeah.
That's the cooperative you're looking for most of the time. That can guarantee for a woman to be able to afford a home. Because if you're able to show that you have done 10 years, contributing, taking for years, nothing has happened, you are eligible and liable to own a property without a collateral. But only women will fight this fight because we know how to do this. The second thing is, I think, a multifunctional design of the areas we live in. And coincidentally, currently in Abuja, they're looking to redesign or adjust the master plan. And in one of the meetings, we suggested, look, as it is now, you've got to design districts that are walkable and livable. Only women can bring this up because you want to have your walk 15 to 20 minutes away from your home, your school, your this. When women have this kind of capital and they're able to go into major construction, i.e. the land schemes that government shares, and you are designing a district, you will design it in such a way that you will take care of all the things that come naturally to us as women. And lastly, I'll say is the fact that we will be sustainable. We're women. We will manage materials. We will sustain when the economy shakes. We know how to move around because we know how to manage these things. So I think if we are able to get our hands on that capital, the dynamics will change and you will know that women are in charge because we will all own homes easily, inshallah. Thank you.
Wow. Please give Salah a round of applause. Thank you very much. Yomade, I want to ask a question. Sorry. This is the question. So, no, not Yomade. I want to go to Ifeanyi. Yeah. What must change today to make the future that we are looking at possible? I'm glad she mentioned about policies around towns. TPR was here, the town planner was here, and Nigeria is gradually reducing structures that encourage livability. If you understand what I mean, there are no walkways, no walk to the parks, things that we know that it should be part of the town planning. So what must change today to make this future that we perceive, not for us, we're building legacy, but for the children that we're bringing up?
Amazing. Thank you so much for this question. I think one of the first things is that women need to build confidence. I believe that the world is for the taking, and many times we find ourselves shying away from opportunities.
Yeah.
You find the gap, you see the gap, you know there is a gap, you know the solution, but I just think, you know what, somebody else is going to address it. I have many other things on my mind. So I think women need to stand up and build the capacity required to fill this gap. In shaping policies, in being influential, there is need for us to even know the market, know the space we occupy. Most times we are so focused on just our nuclear bread, let me call it bread and butter, the things you're familiar with, your comfort zone. We're not willing to step beyond the things we know. We are risk takers in word, but are we really risk takers in action? It's only when you step up to the plate that you know what you are up against. But when you're sitting down at home, I assure you do not know what's happening. Another major thing I think and I know is mentorship. We need to see the need to work together. We cannot do this by ourselves. The real estate market is very complex. It's very intriguing. I'm trying to use interesting words so we don't scare anybody. It's an amazing opportunity. There's wealth to generate from it. But there's a lot of complexities. And when we build the capacity required, we will be able to surmount it. We will be able to support one another. We can't build large projects on our own. Someone upcoming today says, I have a dream, I want to build XYZ. I have an idea for a new district, I have this, I have that. But the person does not have the requisite capital for that. Now, we many times believe I can rough it myself. Anyway, most of the time guys say that. But we as women sometimes say, no, I think I know it. Like she said, my daughter went to school, so she has an idea. But the truth is that we can't do it by ourselves. So yes, when that capital, I won't say if, I like to say when that capital does come, it will be good to see women pull each other together, support one another, go into more joint ventures. We see the men taking more risk. I'm just going to be factual. I know we say we are risk takers, but I don't think we're that risk. We are so much of risk takers. Not to say that we are going on a debate. But the truth is that sometimes we see the opportunities, but we shy away from it. So I would say I would love a world where women are more risk takers, support one another, explore innovative structures. You don't have to do it by yourself. You can work with someone. I can have land. You can have money. I don't have to be scared that you're going to take the whole world. Of course, we have Adako that is going to help us create the legal agreements and all that. But we can come together, work together, and deliver value. Enough, sorry to the men here, but enough of the men just being the players in the market. We as women have a lot more to do. We are not relegated to the kitchen and to the other assignments we have. We can do a lot more. So yes, let's work together. Let's pull ourselves together. Let's remove our lashes and our wigs and focus on the job ahead and do what we do.
Please, she needs that. Fantastic, fantastic. Wow. I think I put a picture on my WhatsApp status on Sunday of my hands. And I said, after a year in the development space, my hands have changed. No more lashes, no more nails. In fact, we are using makeup for the first time in a long time because we had to not that women are not going to be women, but sometimes priorities change. I'm going to come back to you, if I answer that, because there's something you guys were speaking about, capital and all, but Yomade, what do you think about what we just
yes,
heard.
I really like what she has said, especially about being competent.
Yes.
It's very okay, and in fact, is an important ingredient to be competent. But there's something else that goes hand in hand with competence. You need to know your product. You know, I've been in rooms with, women, they are starting or they are already in it. Some people are lucky enough to have someone that could fund projects, So when, they are meeting you and you're looking at what they are doing, I'll discover that I will tell my peer that there's nothing on this person's head, though. Like this person does not know, anything. You ask questions. It's not enough. The only way, or let me say, how you can really go far in a male-dominated field, you cannot compete with their ego. You have to compete with value, with what you know. It's okay not to know everything. Fantastic. I can draft, lawyers will not like this, but I can draft a legal document. It's not because I'm a lawyer, but I've been doing this for over 10 years now. So I know how the thing goes. When I'm done, I will still, prove it. But I'm just trying to let you know that I'm so experienced that I can write a contract. And you would think, saying a lawyer, write them. Yes. And I can read drawings. I'm not an architect. You don't have to know everything, or you don't have to be like me, but just know few things. If you know that you don't have capacity in a particular place, thank God for YouTube, thank God for AI. Go and know those things. It is not enough that you wear a wig and you are so beautiful and came into a funding program or a funding meeting and you don't have numbers. You are telling your peer, you are asking your accountant, is that you don't know anything. So don't let them just say that, oh, she's just fine. Yes, I've seen it happen, and it's always painful because I'm like, oh, this should be somebody that we should be able to. Me myself, I would not be able to, to guide the person. Because I'm just like, who is this person? So know your numbers when you are going into a funding. Know your numbers. Read it like your life depends on it, so that when you show up, the men will ask, and men, they will ask you questions. They will not ask you generational questions, so that normally they are not supposed to ask. So you need to read. Go over and call your lawyer. What if they ask me this? Call your accountant. What if they ask me this? Know little about everything. One thing that set me apart in the early years of my career was I know how to read drawings. I read estate management. I was not an architect. But I can sketch today. Not because it's important, but because I want to be involved in everything that is going on that side. Beautiful. So be involved. Know your product like your life depends on it. And also, for the capital part, we know the country where we are. It is difficult. I've been in it. I'm still going through it. And it's just difficult for funding. So you have to make sure you are talking. When I'm traveling out of the country, I pack my flyers. As I'm at the lounge, I'm talking to people. Because that's the only thing that I know. That's how far I can go. There's nothing else I can do. The man has a network already. We don't have it. It's a bit easier for them because anybody can come and say, oh, he's a man doing it, a man now. But you have to go the extra mile, and we have to now do the extra things to say, oh, we can do this. So before you get to the stage that they will see the work you have done, that you can really do it, you have to really put in the effort. Be confident and know your product.
Thank you so much. Please give her a round of applause. And the coincidence, as she was speaking, a lawyer walked in. But then, one thing I will tell everyone that is here at this conference, whatever you are getting this year, get knowledge. Seek understanding. If you do not have any certification, please get as many. It's not too late. I'm still in school. I still go to the School of Real Estate as we speak. There are things that add to your certification. If you know this, go and read, go and add more. Because that is one of the things that will set you apart in this male-dominated environment that we are building. And if we are conscious of building wealth, one of the key things is knowledge is key. And then someone asked me, what you said just now about the nose brings me back to a question one of the panelists, the young people, came up with yesterday. If you are in real estate, and I call it the 3 no's, and I'm glad you mentioned it. Know yourself. Know your product. 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 Know Know yourself. That is very important. Know who you are. Are you a very shy person? So what are you going to sell if you cannot talk? Or those kind of people that I don't like my face out there, so I don't know how to market. Are you by faith just someone that has a very lovely network? You know, when you know yourself, you will know what you can do. You will know your abilities. And then know your products, like you said. Know your products. If you are selling, know what you are selling like the back of your hands. Know it that if they wake you up, what is the difference between a plot and an acre or whatever it is? You know your products to that level. And then know the kind of clients. Everyone has different client avatars. Please, from today on, you can't service my client, I can't service your client. But the fastest way to grow in real estate, in building wealth, is you can't sell everything to everyone. Please note that down. It is very, very important. Carve a niche for yourself and go with that niche. If you are in advisory, if you are in legal, get all the knowledge in that niche and become the best. If you are in sales, get as much certification and become the best. Thank you very much. So, I have a question for rural homes and the family home funds, because yesterday, this was an issue, access to capital. And I'm glad a lot of people, the meeting yesterday, if you were here and you heard everything that was said, can I see your hands? Fantastic. So we're here again, and I think we should clap for yesterday's, yes. I was blessed by yesterday. So I'm going to start with Sadatu, and I'm going to ask that if a young developer wanted to access funds today, within the next 2 years, a developer, what practical steps should they start today? And that same also goes to Ifeanyi. And what makes a project fundable from the institutional perspective? So I'll start with Sadatu.
Okay. I think the very first thing, I think the lawyer, our masterclass, has actually touched on the very important first step. Go through those steps, and once you're all clear, then you get to the aspect of your funding. As a first-time developer, it will be very difficult. I will kid you not. Very difficult, because you have got to prove that the banks can bank on you, clients can trust you, and so on. So do not even think it will come easily. No. But there are ways around it. First of all, some will even tell you, maybe go back to family and see how you can start a small fund to go into site with. Once you do that, that's your equity now. Figure out how to raise your equity. It could be a family loan. It could be you sold a product you have, like you sell your expensive car, you sell a house, you sell something of yours to raise a small capital to go into site with. With that one, you can now begin to develop a case to go to financial institutions and say, look, this is how far I've gone, this is what I've done, trust me, we can deliver. Get good clientele. Luckily, right now, marketing is so diverse, easy, and accessible. Invest in that. Make sure you have good product, like she said, know your product, sell your product well to clients. If you do a good selling of your products, you'll find that people will even come to you. And with that, you go to the financial institution and see what you can do in terms of getting, the full amount you need for your project. I think for a startup, that is the simplest advice I'll give for now. It's a bit more complex. Read more. Like you have said, knowledge, know and know and know. It cannot be overemphasized. But I think with this, it's you should be able to get somewhere with that one.
Thank you very much. You heard her. Let's start with what we have in our pockets. There's always something that they say, what is in your hands? What is that rod that you're holding? Friends and family, the network that you have. If everyone goes to their phone now, friends and family, you have one uncle somewhere, sister somewhere, diaspora somewhere. If you say, can I have 1 million from 10 people? I'm sure you'll be able to raise that or more. Like you said, even your own personal commitment. Yeah, some of us are sitting on huge assets that we don't know. Some of us have come into huge inheritances, and we're just thinking of buying homes. So I'm going to ask Ifeanyi as well, from the family homes perspective. What should we be doing? Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start off with saying that even with the 2 years experience that any developer has, there's a lot you would have gained from it. Some of the things you learned by yourself, some you will learn by working with others. I do not think we should shy away from working with others. So gather experience, gather knowledge, and like she said, know your product, know everything you need to know about the market. Because when you start, whether it's a small scale construction project or it's a large scale project, there is need to understand the market. There's capacity need because you need to structure the project. I was very excited about what she said. I'm not a developer. I would love to play in that space in the near future. Don't tell my bosses yet. However, I think we should start small. I love the idea of a young developer starting with 5 people. 5 uncles, let me build your house. It's a small project. You do that one. Tomorrow you increase, and that way you build track record. Track record of projects delivered, but also track record of tested and trusted integrity. You said you were going to build, you built it, you had challenges, everybody has challenges, but you surmounted it and you delivered on your product. So that for me is key and where I think a young developer should look to play. Prepare, plan, learn, and then where possible, if you want to now play in the big leagues, I would suggest you also partner with some upcoming developers like her. You come to her and say, look, I have this amazing opportunity. I can't do it by myself. Let's work together. Sorry, I like the power of coming together. Because we try to do things on our own, now we struggle. But if you have 5 and I have 5, somehow we might not get to 10 exactly, but in between, we can get somewhere. So I think we can come together and pull our resources together and see how we can deliver on our projects. And then you ask the question about how projects, possibility of accessing finance. One major thing is that your project must be viable. Yeah. It's not just, I have this idea, I have a dream. Is it going to bring out money? I was going to speak it in Igbo, but I realized I don't even know how to say it. But is it viable? Can it generate the required income to cover your costs, to repay your finances, to give you some form of profit, no matter how little it is? That's one of the very first questions you should ask yourself. Then who am I building for? You said know your product. I loved that. I took note of that. And then know your target audience, your clients. So who am I building for? What locations would they like to have their homes built in? And then you go about looking for your land. Of course, your land should have good title. Adako had taken her time to explain everything you should look out for in a title. No financer will want to go into a project that has title, that has headache and K-leg from the very beginning. So you can't look for the services of lawyers that can support you with that, but you need good title. That way, whether it's a finance institution or some big uncle that wants to invest in your project, he will be willing to take the risk and go ahead to finance your project. You must have people you're building for. You must have a good location. Your project must be viable, and you must know your product. If not, at the end of the day, what are you really selling? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're rounding up quickly, but I hear you say we should prepare, plan, learn, and above all, collaborate. So finally, I must ask this question. I must, because it touches my heart. What can be done to support more women becoming large-scale developers? I must ask you. Okay. I can't go without asking that.
Okay, so truly speaking, and I would expand that a little to go beyond just being developers, but even owning and accessing a home. So most developers play in this small space. Most women, female developers play in this small space. They want to go into the big leagues, and we've touched on many things that they can actually do. But some of the problems that we keep facing hinge or hover around access to land, access to financing, and even your balance sheets. How healthy is your company? So these are some of the challenges that people have faced. But one thing is certain, collaboration is key. Sorry, I didn't mean to come with the theme collaboration, but collaboration is key. You work together with partners that can support you in the delivery of your intending venture. So you want to do something big, but you've done something small. But I have done something medium. Can we come together and try and expand a little, rather than trying to do it by ourselves? Also, we must be innovative. That is where partnership also helps to solve the issue. So I don't have money, but I have land. My daddy kept a land for me, prime land in a very good location. Thank you to him. And then you have financing. How can we work together? I see in Lagos that some of the houses in Yaba, they've started dropping those very old houses in Yaba and building up assets that are generating income for them. Women must begin to see that the things in their hand can actually be turned into assets. So yes, let's work together. Family homes, for instance, we face that challenge every time. Someone comes with a beautiful idea, amazing drawings, but then you start seeing issues here and there. In some cases, we have to bring ourselves down, remove ourselves from the financing leg and say, you know what, let me advise you on how we can go about this. And we shall know that we need to be innovative. It's not always A plus B should be equal to C. You might need to bring a cousin that will bring something to enhance your possibility of accessing financing. And to do projects at large scale, you need a lot of money. It's not 1 naira, it's quite a lot of money. So let's see how we can package our projects better. Family Homes has delivered a few projects focused at women, supporting women in both large and small scale. We've done one in Kaduna where we financed 100 homes. The developer was a woman, the target audience were women.
Please give her a round of applause.
We also have another one in Calabar. That one is ongoing. The one in Kaduna was delivered last year. Kaduna is currently ongoing. Now we have a mortgage product that is really focusing on women. Let me not say fully focusing. Everybody can access it, but we have up to 35% of the applicants being women. And these people have accessed their mortgages and they've started their repayments. So the world is aware of the limitations that sometimes women face. But we ourselves need to remove that limitation from our head and begin to see ourselves beyond it and try and play in the big league and not be afraid of what's outside.
Thank you so much. I wish we could go on. This is a master class on itself, and this can be expandable to any level. I'm learning a lot, and we are hearing a lot. The words that I keep hearing: collaboration, and thinking outside the box. In closing, there are women here. I like setting goals. If we were coming back 1 minute from everyone, if we were going to come back this time next year, what should any woman here aspiring to build wealth, what should that woman start doing from today? I'm going to start with you, Yomade.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I would say just start from where you are. You don't have to have all the money in the world. Start from where you are. With the 100,000, with the 200,000 you have, start from where you are. Bring your sisters together, buy 300 square meters together.
Fantastic.
Start from where you are. And know your risk appetite. Yeah. Don't go into things that are going to, if you're a developer, don't go into things, you have to be careful about your name. Your name is very important. Don't swear your name. Construction can easily get you into trouble, into problems, court case in our water, like I used to say.
Yes.
But always make sure you don't swear your name. Your reputation, your name is so important. Keep it, guide it like your life, because your life actually depends on it. So always protect your name. Then know your risk appetite. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Ajia, what would you say? 1 minute?
Okay, so I'll say, first of all, realize that your bank account is not your self-worth.
Please, that
You've got to
repeat.
Your bank account is not your self-worth.
Please.
You're inherently worthy as a human being. That's it. That's number one. Keep that in your mind, so that when you decide to start anything, you go in with a clear mind. It is for you, for your future. And that will make you take decisions that really, like she said, you account for the risks, because every business has risks. Don't get it wrong. There is risk. There is a reason it is there. You've got to understand it. Where you start from, you decide. You could go into investing in real estate products. You could decide you want to be a developer. You can partner. You can sponsor. And this is what I hope that a conference like this will lead to, where Madame will make sure she has a list of bankable women that in the future will begin to sponsor other women. I want to start a small business of real estate. Take this 20 million, go and, because this is what the men do. That's the reality. They sponsor they call their boys or they will sponsor club. Them. They will hit them with 100 million, no collateral, no interest, nothing. Go and see what you can do. And until we help ourselves, they will not come to help us. That's the reality. We've got to do this for ourselves. So thank you very much.
If
I think that's about it.
1 minute. I mean, everyone here, can we please give a round of applause for what we are hearing? We are rounding up, but this information is important. So what would you say in 1 minute?
I'm not sure I can say anything after what you've said. However, I would say build capacity. We sang that song throughout today. Just build capacity. Learn. There's AI to teach you. There are people to teach you. And let's work together. Let's generate a fund and say, you know what, I found this opportunity. Let's come together and collaborate. Thank you.
Thank you everyone. Thank you panelists. Thank you so much. And what we are taking away from this is, please don't just participate in real estate. This year, position yourself to own something. You must own. I want testimonies by this time next year that I came here owning nothing, but by this, in 1 year, I now own something in piece of the land, because the future of real estate literally will not just be driven by women. It will be owned, structured, and built by women. Yes. Thank you, everyone.
Someone is raising hands.
Hands together. From blueprint to design. At the middle, please. Thank you. Yeah, the future is ours to define.